This is the third lecture under ENG 407, Language and National Development. Before now, we have looked at the concept of language, the properties of the human language, and the functions that language performs among humans. Those explanations are general. Now we want to be specific by looking at language from Nigerian perspective, from the Nigerian perspective. So our topic in this lecture, lecture 3, is the language situation in Nigeria. What is the unique aspect of language that will come to people's mind when Nigeria is mentioned as a country? The first thing is Nigeria's linguistic diversity. It has been mentioned that Nigeria has over 500 indigenous languages. The languages spoken in Nigeria are considered to be more than 500 in number. And this is rich. This is unique. This is part of what makes Nigeria to be a unique country. One thing about this diversity is that every ethnic group considers itself as unique in itself based on the language that is attached to it, based on its own culture. Therefore, each of these indigenous languages represents a unique expression of identity, history, cultural heritage, and thereby contributing to the country's vibrant nature of languages. So there is a kind of beauty, there is a kind of respect that Nigeria has when we look at it from the point of view of the number of languages that is being spoken in the country. This diversity has its effect, effect from the point of view of challenges and the effect from the point of view of opportunities. When we talk about challenges, we see that many people usually recognize themselves, many Nigerians usually recognize themselves first from the perspective of the ethnic group or they belong or the language they speak before considering themselves to be part of Nigeria as a single entity. So this diversity has created barriers to communication, hindered national integration, has led to agitations from different parts of the country. But despite all those challenges, there is still beauty in Nigeria having over 500 indigenous languages. One of the benefits is the fact that the many ethnic groups we have, the many languages we have, the more the cultural heritage that can be traced to Nigeria. The more the more diverse we are from the point of view of ethnicity and language, the more the value, the beauty that could be attached to the country. We talk about the cultural heritage from a Hausa point of view, talk about the beauty of Yoruba culture, you look at the beauty of Igbo culture, you look at the beauty of Kanuri culture. So it's not a mono lingual thing or something that is singularly considered to be part of a country. The more we are in the languages we speak or the ethnic groups we belong to, the more we have many things to showcase to the outside world about Nigeria. Now, what are the issues that have come up because of the linguistic diversity that is peculiar to Nigeria as a nation? One of them is the issue of language policies. So the Nigerian government has recognized the importance of linguistic diversity and has implemented language policies to address the challenges and harness opportunities. Part of that is that from the lower primary at the lower primary level of education in Nigeria, local languages, indigenous languages should be used to teach all subjects except English language. It is at the upper primary school level that English begins to be language of instruction for all other subjects apart from subjects that have to do with indigenous languages. So the purpose of this is to promote the use and development of indigenous languages, while the country emphasizes the importance of a common language for national unity. The country has recognized the English language as a language of business, language of government, and the foreign language or language, international language we use to relate with the countries outside our country. The language or the country also recognizes the use of Arabic, the use of French, based on the countries that border Nigeria, where either French or Arabic is considered as their lingua franca. So efforts have been made to incorporate indigenous languages into educational curricula and official functions. There are some state houses of assemblies in Nigeria where they have made it a law that on a particular day in a week, it is the language, the indigenous language of the people of that state that will be used for the purpose of interaction in their houses of assemblies. So this will is meant to allow for the maintenance and revitalization of some of these indigenous languages. Now, effort has been made to give a particular language the responsibility of uniting Nigerians despite the linguistic diversity that we have as part of us in our country. So while celebrating linguistic diversity, Nigeria as a country recognizes the need for all of us, regardless of the languages we speak, to have a national language which will strengthen us, which will bring about cohesion and effective communication. So English has been playing this role for a long time. Some people have suggested the use of pidgin English, Nigerian pidgin, as it is called. Some have considered a kind of a hybrid language that will have some elements of Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba languages. But so far, English, which was inherited from the colonial era, has been serving as the official language and has been playing a significant role in education, governance, media, and business interactions. So up till now in Nigeria, English is acting as a bridge language, a unifying language which has been enabling Nigerians from different linguistic backgrounds to interact and collaborate to beat the challenge of linguistic diversity. Another thing that is common to language situation in Nigeria is the issue of language planning and development, where it is it's been very crucial for Nigeria as a country to find a way by which issue of language planning will be handled without creating unnecessary trouble among speakers of the various indigenous languages in Nigeria. So through language planning and development, effort has been made to regarding language choices, policies, strategies to promote effective communication, cultural understanding, and national development. The purpose of all this is to ensure national development. If there is a proper language planning that will involve every Nigerian regardless of the language we speak, that will foster national development. So language planners have been working to balance the preservation of indigenous languages with the need for a common language, ensuring that linguistic rights and identities are respected. So while government is trying to look for a language that will join all Nigerians together in achieving some common goals like national language, language that will be used to relate with countries outside Nigeria, language that will unify all of us despite our diversity. While efforts have been are going on to achieve all this, effort is still made to ensure that indigenous languages are not relegated. But on the reality, what, the way people behave, they relate with one another, the way they look at their indigenous languages, their disposition to other people's languages, all of this have been a great challenge uh, against the achievement of a unified language for Nigeria and Nigerians, as well as for the preservation of the indigenous languages in Nigeria. So this third lecture will end here. As usual, there are some questions that will come up after you have listened to this. Go through those questions, provide your answers. When you score less than 70%, the questions you will need to go through the questions again so that you will be able to score more than that. If you are not sure what to do, or you are free to go through the presentation as many times as you can so that you'll be able to provide answers that will put you above scoring 70%. Till we meet for lecture 4. I appreciate you for the time you have spent listening to this. Thank you very much.